Jumping straight into today's topic, we have Jingo, a Korean artist who has issue with both FIlian and Good Smile Company. Now, Jingo is concerned about the Good Smile Company account producing a Nendoroid figurine of Jingo's VTuber model, their VTuber model being called Rindo. They say that prior to making this statement, they have not received any contact from Good Smile or from FIlian. They say that from their perspective, they were very confused that a company was planning to produce a figurine based on their character, and they had never even heard anything about this. And this has very quickly gotten a lot of attention. As you can see, here is the original post from Good Smile, where here they are advertising the FIlian Nendoroid. And as you can see, it has been community noted, with the community note stating, FIlian's model is a recolor of the model Rindo made by Jingo. The terms of service of said model stating that making merchandise of the model is prohibited without the creator's permission. And the creator themselves has also said they weren't informed about this. And as you can see, FIlian quote retweeted this Nendoroid figure release, simply saying, "Uh-oh." And as you can see, even though all she said was "uh-oh," you can see the same community note on her post, as well as a second community note that says, Jingo, the original creator of FIlian's character and model, has never been credited properly and did not give FIlian permission for any of the merch she's decided to produce. They were only informed after the announcement. But that's not all. It seems a second artist has confirmed they did not give FIlian permissions for merch. And that is a quote retweet from this creator. Apologies if I butcher their name. Komodo, I assume. Now, they have a Japanese post, but thankfully they've translated the post themselves, where they say, "We have received numerous inquiries regarding a specific VTuber. Regarding this matter, we do not permit the use of Mint sales model as an original character for sales plush toys, distributions of skins in a racing game, etc, etc. And for anyone confused about the skins in a racing game, apparently their model was used as a skin in the video game Oh Baby Kart. So this is the second time that FIlian has used a model that she does not own for profit and distribution. Now, it seems that in this particular case, the VTuber skin used for that small video game was eventually abandoned because trying to sue internationally is a massive pain in the ass. And I would also like to point out that Jingo never specified that they were going to sue either. However, I feel like because this is a much larger collab and Jingo is a much more well-known artist, that this has a lot higher chance of actually going somewhere, getting some attention, and getting Jingo compensated for their work. You will not be surprised to hear that all of this negative press has attracted some people saying some pretty damning things about her as a person, such as this person saying, "The amount of genuinely good, kind people in the industry who've been shunned for so much less, while FIlian just openly scams people is so harrowing, encouraging AI art, swindling clippers with pay based on engagement, and now profiting off of assets she never paid for." Now, those first two accusations I am not familiar with, so I can't comment off of, but certainly this most recent controversy has indeed caught my attention. But FIlian is not without her defenders, such as this person who replied to the previous comment saying, "People are gonna make AI art of her no matter what she says, so she just wants to throw it in a different tag so it doesn't clutter up real art." They go on to say that the idea of open offers and engagement bounties have been around since the dawn of capitalism. People can just choose not to do them. But hey, if they pop off, free cash. Oh yeah, I do remember this now, actually. Now I do. So I don't know where the tweet is, and I'm too lazy to go find it. But she made a post a while back where she was trying to get people to clip her content way more often. And so she said that if you clipped her content and it got a shitload of views, she'd give you a relatively small payout as like a thank you. The payout wasn't particularly huge. I think it was just meant as an incentive to get more people to clip. It's not like she was hiring people and then scamming them out of owed wages. She was just trying to throw out a cash incentive into the world and hope it popped off. I will say though, I don't agree with anyone's comments so far on the using a free model for profit, but I'll hold my opinion until I see some more opinions. We have additional people chiming in, such as this person saying FIlian is in deep trouble if she's going to keep Jingo in the dark about her merch using Rindo's model all the time. And I think it's safe to say Jingo is no longer in the dark. The two are going to have to communicate at some point. This commenter saying, FIlian drama is so funny to me. Like, imagine having all this money to constantly replace your VR gear, but not buying the rights to the avatar. That's actually crazy. Being a VTuber and not respecting artists is genuinely so wild to me. I've seen multiple accounts making this specific comparison, such as this commenter saying, "There's no excuse for FIlian not doing what Neuro did. The guy who made her was using the free Live 2D mascot model, but when he got huge, he had a custom model made that looks similar but is distinct enough for copyright reasons. She should too." And FIlian already has multiple models as is. And honestly, I fully agree with this person because, yes, FIlian should commission an artist to make her a custom model. If she can afford all these brand new Valve Index controllers and headsets she keeps absolutely demolishing, she absolutely has the loose cash to buy a model. Now this I do strongly disagree with, where they say that FIlian is using AI to promote herself, because if you actually look at their posts that supposedly prove that FIlian is promoting herself with AI, you'll see a bunch of user-generated content. As far as I'm aware, FIlian herself has never directly used or endorsed AI art. We've got a lot of people saying different variations of the same thing, basically quote retweeting either Jingo's post or the Good Smile post, saying that this is unacceptable. What's funny to me is while looking for people talking about the most recent FIlian controversy, I randomly found this guy who's complaining that because he also uses a recolored Rindo model that Jingo made, everybody calls them FIlian because obviously they look almost exactly the same. That truly is one of the consequences of using a free model, is that other people are going to use that freely available model too. As tempting as it may be to bandwagon off of popular opinion and condemn and criticize FIlian for disrespecting artists and yada yada yada, I really have no place to judge because I've actually done the exact same thing. I used to have a pop-up store with a bunch of Beelzebub merch on it, and I had no idea you could get into legal trouble for making merch out of a personalized free VTuber model. Because as you may or may not know, this model that I have right here is just a Vroid model that I customized in Blender, adding a bunch of accessories and shit. I don't say this as a promo to have you guys go out and buy the merch that I made. In fact, I don't think you can. This was a temporary pop-up store. I don't think this link even works if you're not signed in. And it's also just using transparent screenshots from several of my older models that I don't even use anymore. So genuinely don't go seek out this shop and buy anything. I genuinely don't think it exists. The only reason I even mention this is because I literally can't fault FIlian for doing something that I myself did. I think this is one of those things where you get a model, you spend some time tinkering with it, you get it in your head that it's fully and completely yours just because you're the one using it, and by the time you're actually popular enough to warrant getting merch, you've completely forgotten about any sort of details or rights or IP regarding your model because it's your model in your own head. It's not something you even think about it. I genuinely can't imagine someone intentionally breaking terms of service or breaking the law or violating IP rights or blah blah blah. I see so many comments calling FIlian a scammer or disrespectful to artists. I genuinely don't think that's the case. In fact, I'm almost positive it's not the case because I wasn't trying to scam people or be disrespectful to artists when I did the exact same thing. So where do we go from here? What's the solution? What's the beginning, middle, and end of this? Personally, I see this going one of two ways. I think the most likely option is that FIlian is going to get in contact with Jingo. The two are going to have a conversation. They're going to work out some sort of settlement, and then they're both going to be on their merry way. Maybe that involves a large payout. Maybe that involves a cut of the merch revenue. I have no idea, but it is not within the best interest of FIlian, and it's sure as shit not within the best interest of a merch company to knowingly, willfully sell merch of an IP they don't own. I mean, if you think about it, even if FIlian was the most greedy, scam-hungry person on the planet, there's no shot in hell the merch company is going to sell Nendoroids of an IP and give the proceeds to someone who doesn't own that IP. They never do that. So I think a settlement between FIlian and Jingo is the most likely option. However, the second possibility, or at least the second likely possibility, is that the entire deal between Good Smiles and FIlian completely collapses. And this could be for a number of reasons. Number one, maybe Good Smiles just doesn't want to deal with FIlian after she's been embroiled in a controversy. Large corporations don't like controversy, they avoid it like the plague. So it is entirely possible and entirely within reason that Good Smiles could just tell FIlian to go kick rocks. And a second reason we might get to the same endpoint as Good Smiles and FIlian breaking apart from each other and canceling their deal is because FIlian isn't able to secure the rights for the model from Jingo. And it is entirely possible. I don't think it's likely. I think it's in Jingo's best interest to just take a paycheck and let FIlian be FIlian, but it's entirely possible that maybe through anger or pettiness or not being given a good enough deal, they decide that they don't want to do any kind of settlement or merchandise revenue split, and they just fuck off. I think those are easily the two most likely possibilities. And there is a third possibility that comes to mind, and I genuinely don't think this is going to happen, but it's still a possibility, so we'll still throw it out into the air. And that's the possibility that FIlian is going to commission someone else to create a unique custom model, buy the rights for that, and then go through with the merch deal with Good Smiles. And the Nendoroid will be based off of that new model. Technically it's possible, but there's a pretty major reason why I don't think that's going to happen. Commissioning a model is time consuming, and FIlian already has a contract with Good Smiles. And I'm pretty sure they don't want to just sit on their ass and twiddle their thumbs while they wait to receive a design and then redesign their product, especially considering they probably already have a bunch of these Nendoroids on the shelf ready to be shipped out. The amount of inconvenience it would cause to recall a bunch of these Nendoroids and print brand new ones, I just don't see that as being a realistic option the company takes. But it's still technically a possibility, so who knows? So I was about to wrap up for the day and start editing this when I noticed something interesting. So one of the people on Twitter that I quoted in the previous segment was Bint, and I was scrolling through their timeline in case they said anything else interesting about the FIlian situation, and they had this to say. False, by the way, is very much friends with FIlian, and is signed to the same talent agency as her, referring to Mythic, who they believe probably also had a part in turning a blind eye to this scam, and they say, so don't expect transparent reporting from him on this. And I don't know, something about that just didn't sit right with me. We're making a lot of assumptions here. So I kept scrolling through and I found this post that said, FalseEyeD appears to be forging an association with VTuber SummerSlam after people called out that he wasn't formally invited for the first time since 2022. He apparently invited himself. Gamers Outreach haven't acknowledged him at all. So basically he's just using a charity for his reputation, and then posting a screenshot of his Twitter showcasing all the money that he raised for charity. And this is particularly confusing to me because it sounds like what they're implying is charity fraud. And apparently I'm not the only one interpreting it that way, as there's a separate person that I saw saying the same thing, saying FalseEyeD just robbed everyone of $17,000. When you add all the donations, including for False's stream, it comes out to $7,757,000, but the official total is $740,000. FalseEyeD just committed charity fraud in the second degree minimum. And I'm not gonna lie, these numbers do not make any sense to me at all. They're kind of just throwing accusations and numbers on screen with zero evidence. It also doesn't make any sense because those numbers don't match the numbers that False himself posted, where he claims he raised $8,212 as the final total for Gamers Outreach. None of these numbers add up to anything I've seen anywhere else. They just seem to be pulled out of thin air. Now, as far as the accusations that he's not officially partnered or affiliated with Gamers Outreach, if you take a look at the Gamers Outreach page, they have a little promotional video where they show off a bunch of the VTubers that they're associated with who are going around and promoting the VTuber SummerSlam, etc., etc. And I suppose False does not appear in this promotional video, and if you look at their promotional artwork, he's not on there. And there's a separate group of people also participating in the VTuber SummerSlam charity event, and he is also not in there. Now, listen, I'm not gonna pretend to be an unbiased reporter, and I know I have a reputation of aggressively defending VTubers and trying to give them the benefit of the doubt in every and all case, including in this video, where you notice I went out of my way to not condemn FIlian for the latest controversy. But if there was anybody on this earth that I would be biased against, that I would have motivation to go and actively drag their name, it would be FalseEyeD. I don't like the man. I have many reasons to be biased against him. Some I've talked about publicly, some of them I haven't mentioned because they're not immediately relevant and frankly very, very petty. And even as someone who does not like FalseEyeD, I can say with my full chest, there is nothing I hate more than misinformation. And quite frankly, I'm disgusted by seeing all these tweets trying to condemn False for something they have no proof that he did. Sure, he's not on the fucking promotional art or promotional video. That doesn't mean the money is not going to charity. And sure, let's say for example, he's not anyway directly affiliated with the charity. You don't have to be directly affiliated or partnered with them in order to send them a donation. Let's say Gamers Outreach has never spoken to False a day in their lives. It literally wouldn't matter as long as he's still giving the money that was donated for the charity to the charity. Literally nothing else matters. As long as the funds go to the charity, I could give less of a fuck about any potential partnership. And if I'm going to call False out, and if I'm going to say something negative about him or throw an accusation his way, I'm sure as shit not gonna do so with the only evidence being a couple of guys on Twitter who just don't like him and want to drag his name through the mud. And I would also like to point out, if there is some sort of charity fraud going on where he's claiming to give money to a charity and actually not giving them any money, then it would be pretty fucking stupid to directly at the charity in your tweet where you tell them you're gonna be giving them thousands of dollars now, wouldn't it? It'd be pretty fucking stupid to claim you raised $2,600 for a charity directly at that charity and then not give them the money. This is the most insane goddamn conspiracy I've seen in a very long time in this community. And the fact that people are agreeing with it and giving this any sort of attention is fucking infuriating. It's one thing to accuse people of being an asshole. That's a subjective thing. It's another thing to accuse someone of a fucking felony. Now, thankfully there are people who are not buying into this conspiracy. Is the latest entry in the Niji-sanji Fanatics playbook for dealing with detractors. Make up really heinous allegations toward them to discredit them. And yeah, lying on the internet is free. Of course people are gonna do it. And it seems False can't escape allegations anywhere he turns, as this person is saying, not gonna lie, I thought FalseEyeD of all people would have already been on this. Bro literally calls out other VTuber corpos for their BS but not his fellow VTubers, referring to the Jingo controversy. Which, can I just say, just because he hasn't made a video about it yet, doesn't mean he's not going to in the future. His videos are like 20, 30, sometimes 40 goddamn minutes long. It takes time to research, record, edit, etc, etc. And as the commenter below this comment points out, False has to deal with the antis creating misinfo about him being a charity fraudster right now. He might be focused on preparing to officially debunk that. And yeah, if it takes him a minute to get around to the FIlian situation, it doesn't mean that he's not going to cover it at all, or that he's necessarily going to be biased. It's totally reasonable for him to be busy on clearing his own name from the accusations. I had to pause recording for a little bit because my power went out, but for anyone who was saying that FalseEyeD wasn't going to cover the FIlian drama because he's, quote, friends with FIlian and because they're both part of Mythic Talent, you were wrong. Not only does he cover the incident, he also points out that FIlian's model was credited on several of the merch collaborations that FIlian has done in the past. And he reported the news as dispassionately as he always does, and I have no reason to assume there was any bias at play. Further proof that people on the internet just kinda say shit for the sake of stirring the pot and making people angry with no regard to the truth or common sense. For the record, if my power didn't go out, I would have had my video out before False's, and the only reason I bring that up is because people keep commenting that I post my videos after other people, and people think I just watch other people's videos and steal their ideas. I try to get these videos out ahead of time, man. I put these out as soon as I can, but shit happens. Let me know if you have any thoughts about either situation in the comments section down below. I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye, guys!